Bene, allora diamo la parola al primo speaker della squadra Pro.
Painful, unpleasant, and costly. That's where we are. Michael Barnier, the European Commissioner for Relations with the UK. Good morning, everyone. I'm Carlo Lella, and I'm the first speaker of the proposition team. Today, we are here to discuss Brexit. This House regrets it, and we're going to show you why. But first, let's define the keywords of the motion. By regret, we mean that we wish Brexit had never happened, since it has done more harm than good, provoking long-term and permanent damage both to the UK and the EU in the political, economic, social and cultural field. By Brexit, of course, we mean the withdrawal of the UK from the EU. And briefly, the deal between the two parts puts an end to the free movement of people between the UK and the EU, to the British membership of the European Single Market and the Customs Union, and to the UK participation in most of the EU programs. But why are we talking about this? Why is it important? What is its impact? The UK decision has affected the international geopolitical balance, since the UK has always been an international superpower that has belonged to the EU context for decades. So its withdrawal has affected both world politics and economics. We, as the proposition team, will demonstrate that Brexit has done more harm than good. But first, let me make a point of framing. Founded in 1957 as a mere economic community between few countries and then become, since the Maastricht Treaty of 1992, that wide political organization we know today, and the UK had already entered it in 1973, the European Union has always had the mission to ensure free mobility of people, goods, services and capital within it. It has been created to act as one, on the banner of reciprocal trust, cooperation, solidarity, and integration, even when crises occur. Leaving the EU, the UK has actually gone against this principle, giving in to the spreading outdated Euroscepticism and thinking that the best solution to solve problems was avoiding them. But this hasn't been a solution at all. Indeed, this decision has provoked more harm than good, both to the UK and the EU, as we're going to explain. So in defense of such values as international collaboration, common welfare, unity, solidarity, mutual growth and help, we argue that Brexit has damaged the internal politics of the UK, has damaged the British and the international economy and mobility, and these ones will be said by me, and the third one has damaged international politics, and this will be explained by the next speaker. So let's move on to the first argument. Brexit has damaged the internal politics of the UK. Before we go any further, let me make something straight. As the Conservative Party and Boris Johnson explained in a recent Telegraph article, the renewed independence obtained through Brexit was meant to promote unity and integrity of the UK in order to reach the aim of a global Britain. Though reality has appeared to be the opposite of the Conservative dream, since Brexit has actually provoked a further breakup within the UK internal politics in three main fields: within the four regions that form the UK, within the Parliament, and within the electors and the population. First, the Brexit referendum has actually fostered the long-lasting independent aims of Northern Ireland and Scotland. Indeed, 56% of Northern Irish people has voted to remain in the EU. As a consequence, the Northern Ireland Protocol has been approved. Moreover, in Scotland, the 62% of the population voted to remain in the EU. As a consequence, the Scottish Constitution Secretary Michael Russell has claimed that it is fundamental for Scotland to become an independent country in order to regain the full benefits of EU membership. Second, as the National Centre for Social Research explains, because of the electoral and political chaos caused by Brexit, the UK government lacked an overall majority and its own internal supporters were divided. In terms of impact, the National Centre for Social Research has stated that the people's level of trust in governments is the lowest ever recorded, since the government was unable to deliver its principal policymaking objectives. And finally, according to the Italian Society of Electoral Studies, after the Brexit referendum, instead of trusting politics, the UK population identifies itself as leavers, mostly old people, or remainers, mostly young ones. In terms of impact, This means the strong polarization of public opinion and so the loss of more moderative positions. And why is this bad? Because a well-functioning democracy requires a willingness to talk across political and generational divides in order to solve internal issues, and reaching a compromise in a so divided country is more than ever necessary. In terms of impact, this argument shows the permanent and long-term damage that Brexit has provoked to the UK internal politics, at the point that the only ideal bonding British citizens is the mistrust towards their own governments. So let's remember, union is strength, isolation is weakness. Second argument, Brexit has damaged the British and the international economy and mobility. Fundamental premise of this argument is that Brexit means one fundamental thing: free movement of people and goods between the UK and the EU. Andy, tell me.
Okay, thank you. So you're saying that we should all regret the effect of a referendum, the vote of the people, just because it does more harm than good for the economics? Do you really mean that just...
Of course, not only for economics. We've explained you as it has provoked more harm than good, also in the political field, in the economic field, as I'm going to explain, and the international field, as my teammate is going to explain. So, of course, it's not economic. So, two main points in this argument: how the UK and the rest of the EU economy were strongly and mutually reliant on each other, and negative consequences of Brexit on the world's economy. Let's start with the first point. According to a Guardian article of July 2019, the UK contributed to the EU with 3% of its GDP until, of course, Brexit happened. It was a crucial part of the European annual budget, amounting to almost 12% of it. But it is also true that what London gave, Brussels sent back with interest. The United Kingdom was, up until 2016, the center of a series of special projects and direct funding from the Commission. These EU structural funding were worth approximately 11 billion sterling, with a further 25 billion sterling available for rural development and agriculture. This proves how the nationalistic rhetoric that the UK wasted money on an institution that did not actually benefit them is false, and instead demonstrates how really mutually dependent on each other Britain and the European Union were. Now, move on to my second point. Because of Brexit, this economic balance based on mutual support has fallen, therefore evilly damaging the UK economy and the EU economy. Talking about the first, according to the Pew Research Center, the whole economy has suffered from Brexit in two main fields: growth and jobs. Indeed, after Brexit, the UK economy has largely slowed since many businesses have moved their headquarters to the EU. So, indeed, the UK's growth has reduced from 2.4% in 2019 in 2015 to 1% in 2019. Moreover, employers are having a hard time finding applicants. And secondly, the EU has lost one of its most robust economies. And this also weakens the EU in the world, according to the British International Business Institute, since the UK membership gave the EU collectively a greater weight, greater reach, and wider contacts. So in terms of impact, this argument shows how much the mutual support granted by the EU is fundamental to the wealth of both the UK and the rest of the Union. So in the name of strength, of unity, and the common welfare, we're so proud to propose.
Il tempo è di 8 minuti e 44 secondi. Ora possiamo dare la parola al primo speaker della squadra contro.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Silvia, and I'm the first speaker of the Control team. So, this House doesn't regret Brexit because it preserves the UK identity politically, economically, and socially. Let's start with confutating what the other speaker of the Pro team said. So I'll start with the definition of Brexit, because Brexit is the whole process that the UK has begun. So The Brexit began a couple of months before the referendum day on the 23rd of June in 2016. That is the day in which 51.2% of voting people voted in favor of Brexit. But Brexit is not over yet. It is a rather a process that is still going on right now as I'm speaking to you. If we watch closely, the UK hasn't finished to recreating all the treaties, economic, social, and political ones that there existed when the UK was inside the EU. The other speaker said that the situation in Northern Ireland and Scotland, and he said that 62% of Scottish people voted against Brexit, but it is irrelevant because I think that there is a decision of the United Kingdom, not only of the Northern Ireland or Scotland. So if Galles Wallace voted for Brexit, that there is a reason. So, but if we watch closely, no, thank you. If we watch closely, the UK hasn't finished up, so recreating all the treaties. So, to show you how we do not regret Brexit, me and my team are going to bring you three major arguments. The first one, as I'm going to show you, is that refusing Brexit means refusing democracy. The second speaker of my team is and will talk about immigration. So we are not, in fact, forbidding people entering the UK. We are talking about regulating the flow of immigrants, and we are talking about protecting the UK people and giving jobs to the people that are truly interested to stay in the UK. So, refusing Brexit means exposing the lives of the UK citizen to the dangers of the unregulated borders. By embracing Brexit, we are giving the possibilities to the small and medium companies that were once suppressed by the foreign products to flourish and to improve the lives of the people. So, let's start with my own argument. We think that refusing Brexit means refusing democracy because we believe that UK people have chosen in the referendum in 2016 to leave the EU. Okay.
Are you aware of the fact that we don't refuse Brexit? We are just saying that it is a bad decision.
No, do you refuse Brexit? Is that you refuse Brexit? And do you think that who are the EU to force a nation like the UK to stay in the Europe at their own condition? It's unbelievable. The EU had no choice because preserving democracy is the most important thing in this situation, because if you don't respect the popular will, you break democracy, and democracy is the most important things that we have nowadays. We would preserve democracy because democracy is a form of government in which the people have the authority and have the duty to choose the governing legislators and have the authority to decide their own future. So the EU had no choice because the UK people have to leave. So they had to respect the popular will. So if the people are serene, then the right to make decision belongs to the people who expressed their will on the 23rd of June in 2016, because democracy needs a decision, and the crucial decision was effectively made in June. People in the UK were called to vote by a referendum The referendum is a direct and universal vote in which an entire electorate is invited to vote on a particular proposal of a new policy or a specific law. We need and urge to accept the result of the referendum in 2016. So, at this point, how could the EU reject the popular will and the democracy? It's insane, because in the past we have seen how easy is it to destroy democracy and the consequences of these actions. People that have fought during our history have died to give us the freedom and the right to choose for our lives. And now,
Point.
no, thank you. And now we are really ready to abandon all of these rights that we have fought. We don't think so, because the British people, after the referendum in 2016, had no doubt to leave the EU, because they believe deeply in their democracy, they believe deeply in their rights. Where we are discussing an important subject such as the one that we are currently discussing, it is really important to fully grasp the context in which we are talking in. It is mandatory for debaters such as ourselves to fully comprehend the word that we are discussing, and it is exactly because of that we do not regret Brexit, because Brexit is the son of democracy. And if we regret it, we would abort the fruits of our democracy. We would be wasting the blood of our ancestors, the ones who have fought to give us the right to choose. Thank you for your attention.
Il tempo è di 7 minuti e 27 secondi. Invito la giudice Piera De Giorgi a spegnere il microfono, che sento un po' eco. Grazie. Ora possiamo dare la parola al secondo speaker della squadra pro.
Mi sentite? Ok, bene. Before commencing, I will clarify something which is needed to be clarified. This debate is not one where we question the legitimacy of the Brexit vote, as of course we acknowledge that it has been a regular, democratic, and therefore fair expression of popular will. We don't talk about this. Instead, the burden of the pro team is to prove that Brexit was, is, and indeed will prove to be negative. The opposition should prove the opposite, instead of focusing on the results of the votes. Furthermore, we contest the definition given of Brexit as the process of voting, but instead regard it as the wide process of abandoning membership of the EU as a whole. We accept the results of the referendum, of course. They are fair, we don't question them. We are not discussing that, though. We are discussing whether Brexit is good or is bad, and that must be clear. The worst mistake of the opposition team, though, was to consider the results of the Brexit referendum to be organic, widely supported ones, absolutely rebuffing our claims that Brexit has in fact polarized British society to a point that entire parts of it have openly declared their wish to declare independence. And we are not making this up. Nicola Sturgeon, Prime Minister of Scotland, has declared their intention to declare a referendum to propose the Scottish independence in May 2021. And similar things can be said about Northern Ireland, but apparently for the opposition team, this is not true. They said Brexit preserves British independence politically and economically. But first of all, the political independence of the UK is jeopardized by the simple fact that the mere existence of the UK is at risk. Scotland has already expressed its willingness to leave, so has Northern Ireland, but apparently the opposition teams lives in a parallel dimension where the British Empire still exists. As for economic independence, to put it simple, the UK is still dependent on the EU in all aspects of trade, and that will not change. More than 66% of British imports come from the EU. So, economic independence in the eyes of the opposition either means economic suicide or putting the kingdom into the economic protection of another country, the US, let's say. Is that real independence? And with this said, I will press on to the third and last argument, which I remind is, this House regrets how Brexit has damaged international politics. Power is the ability to persuade someone else to do what they would not otherwise do, according to most definitions. States traditionally achieved such aims through their economic or military might. This kind of power is called hard power, and its instruments tend to be coercive and forceful. Throughout the course of history, the United Kingdom has been the symbol of this kind of power, using it to build the largest empire the world has ever seen. It was said that the sun could never set on the British Empire, and while unlike some nationalists will claim this empire is long gone, the United Kingdom still remains one of the strongest countries in the world in terms of hard power. The empire may be long gone, but its cultural legacy lives on in international geopolitics, so that the United Kingdom still retains influence on our world through another form of power, though, called by diplomat Joseph Nye soft power, which is the ability to get what you want through attraction rather than coercion. It arises from the attractiveness of a country's culture, political ideals, etc. According to the Monocle Index, the UK in 2016 was the most influential country in the world in terms of soft power, for two main reasons. First of all, the UK has always been known as a stable, stoic country immune to political crisis of any kind. And second, the UK is a cultural behemoth. English is spoken as the primary language by almost a fourth of the world's population, and it's the lingua franca of trade and diplomacy. The young men and women of Europe who want to specialize in higher education have their eyes set on Oxford, Cambridge, London, Edinburgh. So, to put it simple, in 2016, the UK was still one of the most powerful countries in the world, both in terms of soft and hard power. But then Brexit happened and everything changed. During this argumentation, I will argue how Brexit has impacted and weakened the image of the UK, and how Brexit has weakened the European Union as a whole. First thing first, why and how did Brexit damage British reputation abroad? First of all, mediocre and charismatic political figures such as Cameron, May, and Johnson all subsequently ridiculed their country in the eyes of the world. A prime example is when PM Johnson threatened to override key elements of the agreement in legislation without having the ability to do so. Heated debates, brawls during votes, multiple parliament shutdowns have all destroyed the image of credibility British politics held. Second of all, now that Brexit has come into reality, life has suddenly become hard for the hundreds of thousands of young men and women from the EU who study in the UK. Their numbers have already shrunk from 100,000 in 2018 to a mere 15,000 in 2020. With the UK gone from the EU, the use of English as a lingua franca in the continent will decrease substantially, not less. As a domino effect, the international partners of the EU will have to adequate to this measure, determining a decline of the use of English worldwide. What does all of this mean in terms of impact? From the first place in 2016 before the Brexit referendum, the United Kingdom went down to the 8th place in terms of soft power, according to the Monocle Index. It goes to show how much Brexit has tarnished the image of a country that used to be seen as a symbol of stability and stoicism, and that is now the laughingstock of the world, quoting a statement of Scottish PM Nicola Sturgeon. With this point analyzed, I will go on to the second one, and to do so we reconnect to the concept of hard power. In terms of hard power, the UK holds the 5th position in the rank of most powerful countries in the world, and having it as part of the EU considerably strengthened its diplomatic and geopolitical reach. But it also increased the leverage that the Union could apply during negotiations. A prime example of this is when the European Union negotiated with Iran in 2014 a treaty of nuclear disarmament, with British mediation playing a decisive role in the signing of the act. The leaving of the organization had two effects on the Union as a whole. First of all, it flipped the internal dynamics of this organization. The UK was an influential major player, able to counterbalance the influence of the Franco-German axis. With the kingdom gone, politics inside the EU will inevitably shift toward Paris and Berlin. Furthermore, it significantly weakened the international position of the EU. Brexit highlighted the real divisions resting inside the EU, so that now the cracks in its foreign policy have begun to show, for example, in how to handle the Libyan situation and the response to Russian provocations. The result of all of this is a significant weakening of the geopolitical stance of the EU as a whole, as following the British example of signing direct trade deals with the USA, many Eastern European countries such as Greece, Poland, Hungary have allowed large Chinese investments into their countries with no fear of reprisal from the European Commission. Henceforth, both China and the USA have profited over the defeat of what was growing to become their biggest rival and a potential new player, to the detriment of not only Europe, but the UK too, as we have demonstrated in the previous argument. Through these three arguments, My team and I have told you all a story. The story of a country whose governors and people are still affected by a complex of superiority, by an arrogance and disdain towards a continent of perceived parasites. Sentiments that no longer find their roots in reality. We have explained how abandoning the EU has heavily destabilized an otherwise calm and stable country. We have explained how abandoning the EU has collapsed one of the strongest economies in the world, both in the short and long term. And finally, we have explained how abandoning the EU has upset the delicate balance of powers of the world, weakening both the liver and the union in the process. Brexit is a story that will teach humility to the children of the future, for what comes around goes around. The empire will not strike back. And as the invisible vultures dance around the wounded corpse of the European dream, in the name of mutual cooperation, solidarity, and strength in unity, we are so proud to propose.
Il tempo è di 8 minuti e 20 secondi. Se i giudici sono pronti, possiamo dare la parola al secondo speaker della squadra contro.
May I go on? Okay. A minute, I'm setting the timer. Okay, so hello everybody, I'm the second speaker of the opposition team, and today I'm proud to say that I do not regret Brexit because it preserves the UK identity politically, economically, and socially. And as the first speaker of my same team said before, I'm going to explain to you why I do strongly believe that by my two arguments. But before going into my two arguments, I'm going just to repeat some of the things said by the two speakers of the government team. First of all, I'd like to point out that I wanted to hear from the second or the first speaker of the government team a word in which Brexit was blocked, was never existed. The beauty of a word like this, but not the aspect you don't like about Brexit. Secondly, you have to think about the fact that a nation like UK itself has to think about is their own needs before the needs of the European Union. It's more important, in fact, to the UK to think about the citizens themselves who have decided to go out of the European Union, and not to think about the negatively things of Brexit. Plus, UK is bringing up in these days commercial contracts with the UK to regulate commerce and economics after the breakup and the coming out of the union. Plus, as I show you in my second argument, people will still have the possibility to go to the UK and to visit it, and also will have the possibility to study, to work, to do everything they will have the possibility to do. Now that I'm done with my refutation, I'll go on with my two arguments. In the first one of my two arguments, I'll explain to you why my team and I do not regret Brexit from a social point of view, because it has created a safer place for the UK citizens to be in. But before going on with my argument, I'd like to point out that we are not refusing to let people come into UK. But we're just saying that by regulating the flow of immigrants, thanks to Brexit, we'll have a better situation. With the Schengen No, thank you. With the Schengen Treaty, in fact, people were free to move into the Schengen area, so all over the European Union, with a lot of supervision. So it was very easy to pass the border, to go from a nation to another. And this may seem to you the per team a pretty good thing, but in reality it's not, because it's a very dangerous thing.
Point.
No, thank you. People were not controlled enough, and the risk of attacks was very high. But with these new limitations, so with Brexit, the UK will protect all the citizens without forbidding people to come to UK. We can even say that the dangers come from the outside of the Schengen area. In fact, just a few weeks ago, an extremist, 22 years old, from Padova, an Italian city, who's in the Schengen area, has been arrested because it was trying to radicalize a group of very young people. No, thank you. Of very young people with the objective to commit massacres all over Europe. As we know, too, in the past few years, UK was the main character of a lot of terrorist attacks, such as the Westminster one, the Manchester one, or the London one. And if there were more control of the following... Go.
Don't you think that to solve this problem, it was just necessary to reinforce the border instead of leaving the EU?
And that's exactly what I'm proving to you. In fact, with Brexit, we have reinforced the border. So now, if during these attacks the border were reinforced, as you say, a lot of people would never have died, and the families of these people would never have been affected by these tragedies.
Point.
No, thank you. By these tragedies. Now, to come to Brexit, in fact, you need a visa for work or study purposes, so you need to have the right credentials and a strong motivation. Plus, if people who come to the UK are focused on working, they will add workforce to the nation and make it stronger. So now, with Brexit, the British citizens are truly protected by their nations, as it should be. Now that I'm done with my first argument, I'll go on with my second and last argument, in which I'll explain to you why I do not regret Brexit, because of the great benefits that it will have from an economic point of view. In fact, by supporting Brexit, we just give the possibility to the small and medium companies that before Brexit were suppressed by the foreign products to flourish and to basically improve in this way the lives of the people, the lives of the UK citizens themselves, and the national economy. No, thank you. This feeling of protection towards these companies is also known as protectionism. In fact, these kind of companies, let's just think about it, mostly work based on the national market, and for this always suffered competition with multinational companies who are big and who are used to sell products on a larger scale, taking sometimes the small company's place into selling the same exit products. So it's as clear as the sky that as time goes by, for the smallest companies, it's more difficult to improve their economical situation, unlike the multinational ones that almost always after a relapse, so a difficult time, can improve their economic situation. And that's because of that my team and I strongly believe that Brexit will help out these companies and improve the UK economy, letting the sale of the national products and their circulation increase at the place of the other ones. I like to say too that today we are discussing a choice that will inevitably impact the lives of all of us in the future. And it's exactly because of that that we proudly stand to defend a world in which Brexit comes to be. We cannot allow that the will of multinational companies are put before the will of the people. By refusing Brexit, in fact, we are allowing to the few to control the mind and the will of the people. If we regret Brexit, we are destroying the possibility for us to be fully independent, and it is exactly because of that that we do not regret Brexit. Brexit is a son of democracy. Brexit is a part of us in the same way in which democracy is. Thank you for the attention.
Il tempo è di 8 minuti e 30 secondi. Possiamo passare al terzo speaker della squadra pro.
Good morning, everyone, dear judges and opposition team. I'm organizing my speech in a first moment of computation of rebuttal and a second moment of reconstruction. I want to start my speech with a main clarification. We don't refuse Brexit. We don't question the legitimacy of Brexit. We just regret it. We aren't against democracy. We just think Brexit is a bad decision that has had bad consequences. Indeed, if we really wanted to be democratic, conservative parties should have shown the economic complications and consequences of Brexit to their voters. And secondly, students then hadn't the possibility to vote 5 years ago, now should have the right to vote and remedy to a choice that have badly affected them. Now I want to move on to what the opposition team has said. They instead have tried to demonstrate that Brexit will preserve the UK socially, politically, and economically. But as my first and second speakers have demonstrated, actually Brexit has damaged the society, the politics, and the economics of the UK with a long-term and permanent damage. Let's start with the social field. Indeed, the second speaker had tried to demonstrate that people weren't controlled enough, and so this was a good reason to leave the EU. Actually, this wasn't the solution to the problem.
Right.
Indeed, no thanks. Indeed, if it wasn't. Indeed, to improve the controls within the UK, it wasn't necessary to leave the EU, but just to reinforce the border controls. And then I want to underline that the United Kingdom wasn't a part of the Schengen area, so the borders control were there were already controls before. And finally, they haven't proved that terrorism has reduced after Brexit. So we can't demonstrate that Brexit is strictly linked to, for example, the reduction of terrorism. Either my team have demonstrated you that actually Brexit have deeply damaged the society in the UK for two main reasons. First, the society is deeply polarized. Indeed, now after Brexit, the society, as demonstrated the National Center for Social Research, have been very polarized. Yes, please.
So how a world without Brexit is better than a world with Brexit?
Yeah, I'm just trying to demonstrate you. First, before Brexit, the UK wasn't so polarized and wasn't so divided, and the division inside the UK weren't so enforced. Indeed, for example, there wasn't a polarization between people, so that half were pro-remaining in the UK, and a half were opposing leaving the UK. The generation gap wasn't so wide. So, for example, now old people oppose young people, so that the first one wants to remain in the UK and the second one wants to leave. And what is the impact of this situation? Is that the UK is fragile, is divided. It can't reach its aim to become the global Britain, as the Conservative Party will say, because how can a such divided country be such an imponent and international power? Now I move on to the political field. Indeed, the UK was better before because still it was still united. After Brexit, we have Scotland that wants to leave the UK in order to regain the benefits from EU. Northern Ireland that has more and more divided from the UK. Indeed, it has approved a trade agreement with the Republic of Ireland that doesn't involve the UK. So this means how Ireland has even more been separated from the UK than before. So we think the world before Brexit was better, since still the politics were still more unified. And moreover, about the unity of politics, we can say that for years the British Parliament has been so strong, since its parties were strongly united and they enjoyed collaboration. Now they're just polarized, just as the population. So half is conservative and half wants to remain in the EU. So these two parties can't collaborate, and so and as my second speaker has said, this will improve the division inside the UK, and this will affect and damage the international role that the UK covers. Finally, I want to talk about the economic field. Indeed, the opposition team has tried to tell us that the economic fallen of the UK after Brexit isn't a good reason to regret it. Actually, it is. Indeed, after Brexit, the UK was one of the best global superpowers in terms of economic power. Indeed, for example, it traded very well with the United States. Now, instead, after Brexit, the economics of the UK has fallen. For example, Scotland has been removed against its will, because Scotland wanted to remain in the EU. It has been removed from the Europe Common Trade, and it has lost 16 billion of euros in 1 year. So this is a very big fallen for the economy of Scotland. And we can also talk about the economic in London. Also, the economic in London has fallen after the Brexit, according to the Pew Research Center. Indeed, for example, the economic growth has fallen from 2015 to 2019 of 1%, so very close to zero. Instead, indeed, we can ask the opposition team how Brexit has helped the little economy in the UK, since it has so much damaged the economic in the entire UK. This isn't possible. So now I want to conclude my speech by restating our values. Indeed, we believe in unity. We believe in mutual support in order to guarantee welfare in all Europe. And this was the world that we had before Brexit. Indeed, for example, Brexit hasn't damaged only the UK, but also the EU. Indeed, the EU has lost its most important power in terms of economic and politics, as my second speaker has said. And this has weakened it in the global and international role. The solution for the problems that the EU had was to collaborate, was to improve Europe from the inside and not abandon it. Indeed, as we have shown you, unity is strength and isolation is weakness. That's why we're so proud to propose.
Il tempo è di 8 minuti e 7 secondi. Ora possiamo passare al terzo speaker della squadra contro.
Just a moment that I turn on the clock, please. Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today, me and my team are saying that you should not regret Brexit, because it has led to the preservation of the UK identity, politically, economically, and socially. These 3 points that I've just pointed out, politics, economics, and social, are the 3 major points that we are discussing in this debate, and are the 3 major points that I'm gonna divide my speech into. Let's start with the first one, the political one. They have so much talked about how this Brexit has magically created so much instability in Scotland and Ireland. Well, we have to truly analyze the situation, and since we are talking about how the world goes on and how the world is turning on, we have to analyze how the world were before Brexit. Because we can't simply say that those manifestations, those saying that, no, we want to leave Brexit, that has come from Scotland, that has come from Northern Ireland, were just invented, it just came out after Brexit. Because those were sentiments that already existed. Yeah, sure.
So, are you able to say that Brexit hasn't improved these independentist aims?
It has surely changed them, and it has surely gave them another reason. But for what you're saying, it truly seems in the fact that those things were just now created by magic thanks to the born of Brexit. Yeah, it might have given them another reason, sure. But from what we are able to say, if 60% of the people, as you said, in Scotland voted for going out, for staying in Brexit, we have for staying in the EU. 40% of the people voted to stay inside the UK for leaving the EU. Sorry, and that was the percentage that was able to give the outright, that was able to give the extra point, extra mileage to the 52.1% of the people that were already willing to vote and go outside the EU. This is a fact of democracy. They talk so much about they don't refusing the legally fact and their activity of Brexit, but we have to consider a fact. If they truly regret a world in which Brexit Brexit came to be, they should accept a world in which the will of the people was put aside to better suit economic importance and social stabilities. Those are the three major points from which they were able to say, yes, those are more important than the will of the people. As the second speaker of my team truly said, we can't simply say, oh, it's democracy, but we don't care about it because economic and stability are more important. If the people have that, no, thank you. We can't simply say, oh, we should put all that aside. We don't care about that. Yes, people who are, there will always be people who will not be happy about Brexit. We get it. And in Scotland and in Northern Ireland, there will be many people who don't like that. No, thank you. But this doesn't change the fact that the majority of the people who went and voted for Brexit voted in favor of it. And the polls that have been done, no thank you, after the Brexit and during those last month are already proved to us that people are still willing to go out the EU. This is something that the majority of the people voted. Yes, there will be many people who doesn't like that, but what does it mean? Does it mean that we should all throw that out of the window just because some people don't like that and want to go out because of that? We can't. It's not that we do not regret Brexit. We can't regret Brexit. Brexit is an election that has happened because many people voted for it and continue still to believe in it. By refusing, by regretting Brexit, you regret a world in which the will of the people was listened. And this is one of the most important points. But okay, let's analyze, no thank you, the international scheme, the international situation, because they've so much talked about how the condition, how the idea of the United Kingdom was destroyed. Well, I want you, judges, to imagine a world in which the voters, the people, voted for Brexit, but the United Kingdom or the EU said, screw what the people says, we just stay in, you stay inside the EU. This is the world in which they believe in. They believe in a world, yeah, sure.
So, do you think it's democratic to force Scotland to remain in the UK, despite it voted for remaining in the EU?
That one wasn't a vote of all the Scotland, first of all, and second of all, that wasn't a referendum based only in Scotland. That was, as we said before, a referendum based on the all United Kingdom. All the United Kingdom people voted for that, and so it's because of that all the United Kingdom have to stay in. Yes, in Scotland, the majority of the people didn't like the idea. Sure, and we get that. But it doesn't change the fact that the majority of the people in the United Kingdom voted for it. This is what has proven us to not regret Brexit as a sound democracy. And as I continue my speech before the interruption from the question, I want to repeat the fact that I want to imagine the situation, the idea of the European Union that would have been created after the EU would have said, no, I don't care about what the United Kingdom people said. You have to stay in because this is what is better for the economics. We can't regret Brexit because we would be regretting democracy. After that, we also talk about economic field. And yes, as the proposition team said to us today, many really big and international companies went outside the UK. But we have to consider a fact, because not all the big ones are not the only companies that exist and are ever existed in United Kingdom. We have to consider about the small and medium companies, so the companies in which that worked only inside the UK. No, thank you. No, thank you. Those companies would benefit from the ability, from the access, and from the not interfering from really big and strong companies. They will be able to flourish and in the long term have a positive impact in the UK economics. This is why we can't stand Brexit. No, thank you. Now we have to talk about the social aspect, because this is one of the most important topics that we have discussed today, one of the most important points that we discussed today. We are talking about, as I said before, if the people wanted to go out, people go out. We can't regret Brexit, because that is a world in which democracy never came to be. The second speaker talked about the empire will not strike back. Well, we don't care about the empire. We care about the republic. We care about the republic, and we care about the democracy in England. We care about the democracy in the UK. This is what we care about. And if people voted for that, we can't simply say, no, who cares? Last point that we are discussing this topic was about the one about the social impact, the figure that they have done in a external scheme, in the international scheme. But as we have proven to you, in a world in which Brexit never came to be, the image of the UK would have been more destroyed than the one in which Brexit came to be. We have to analyze two different worlds, a world in which Brexit came to be and a world in which Brexit never came to be. And by analyzing those two worlds, it is clear that from a political, from a social, and from an economic point of view, it is better that Brexit came to be. We are not talking about regret. We are not talking about the fact that Brexit has done more harm than good, because this is not the topic that we are discussing about today. Because if it was, we would be debating the topic. This house believes that Brexit has done more harm than good. No, today we are discussing this house regrets Brexit, and it is exactly because of what I just said that me and my team do not regret Brexit. Thank you.
Il tempo è di 8 minuti e 4 secondi. Ora possiamo passare alla replica contro.
Tell me when I may go on. Posso andare?
Sì.
Okay. Hello, I'm the second speaker of the opposition team again, and today I'm here you to do the reply speech, watching to all the things that we say during this debate. First of all, I'd like to thank the government team, and now I'll go on with my replying, starting with analyze at the confront of the two words put by the opposition and the government team. The word from the opposition team is a word in which there's democracy, and a word in which we do the possibility to the citizens of the UK themselves to improve their lives by deciding what they want to do in their future. As I said during my whole speech, in fact, we have to give the possibility to the people, to the UK citizens, to decide and to choose what is better for them. Instead, in the word of the government team, we don't know which is the word of the government team. In fact, the government team kept on saying what they didn't like about Brexit. But today we just have to give a vision of a world which is good without Brexit. We were expecting to see what Brexit, what a world without Brexit is about good things. Now that I've said which were the words of we have seen during our debate, I'll go on with the points of clash we had seen during the speech. I've seen two major points of clash during this debate, which are economy and democracy. First of all, in the economy one, for the opposition team, I can say that we have seen the point of economy from the smallest and medium UK companies. So how for the UK companies it's better to have Brexit, while the government team said that. Said and showed us how economy helped the EU and not the UK. In fact, we have, as the speakers from my team said, to consider the UK economy and not the European Union economy. So that's why we won this first point of clash. Considering democracy, we just have to say that we are considering the choices of the citizens themselves. And for the government team, we can say that they didn't take into consideration what the whole process of Brexit was about. We in fact just have to think about this as a whole. So we have to think about the elections. We have to think about what happened in the last 4 years, from 2016, as the first speaker of my team said, on. So that's why my team won this point too. Before ending with my reply speech, I'd like to say that my team and I do not regret Brexit because it preserves the UK identity politically, economically, and socially. And that's why during what we have said during this speech, that my team and I won this debate. Thank you for the attention.
Il tempo è di 4 minuti e 18 secondi. Ora possiamo passare alla replica pro.
Yeah, so before talking about the points of clash of this debate, I would like to clarify what were the burdens of our teams. In fact, we were asked if we regretted Brexit, and our criteria was that regret, so we feel disappointed, we feel sad of this decision, so because it has done more harm than good, and we've actually showed you this. While the other team should have demonstrated how Brexit shouldn't be regrettable, so it would have been more good than harm. So the future with Brexit would have been better, but they didn't actually do this. So let me move on to the points of clash of this debate. There are three points of clash. The first one about politics and democracy, the legitimacy of the Brexit referendum. The second one about the society, so the social aspects, and the third about economical aspects. Talking about the first one, they confused the word regret with the word reject, because we didn't actually say that we don't recognize the legitimacy of this referendum. We only said that this referendum has had a lot of bad effects on the UK, the EU, and all other stakeholders involved in this topic. In fact, it as we have shown you, as it has had bad effects on the internal politics and the international politics of the United Kingdom and the European Union. So that's why we have won the points of clash about economy. About politics. The second point of clash is about society. They told about the fact that this Brexit has helped to control immigration, but we have actually shown you how, first of all, it has caused a lot of polarized society, which is not, of course, that can't be in a so problematic period. And even we've shown you how the problem of immigration didn't lead to Brexit. So this and in fact, we've shown you how, for example, the UK was part of the Schengen Treaty. And that's why we won the point about society. And the third point is about economics. They said that this may have, because they didn't actually show us how this will be useful for the future of the entire world, that this be useful for the English small companies. But we've shown you how this Brexit has actually provoked a lot of bad effects on all the economy, both the UK economy, that has been damaged a lot, even the EU economy, the entire economy. So we've won also this point of clash. So to conclude, the word is a word in which they don't acknowledge, don't recognize, don't realize how bad Brexit has been. They try to advocate the values of democracy, but aren't actually linked to this debate. Why, in our world, we actually realize how bad Brexit has been. So it is a more realistic world in which we've shown you all the bad effects on society, politics, and economics of Brexit. And so we won this debate, and we're so proud to propose. Thank you.
Il tempo è di 4 minuti e 13 secondi.